Knowledge. All right, we're no longer recording.
Like, hey, thanks for showing up.
And we are live.
Bam. Okay. So Zach, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself. I'm gonna hit the mute button in 15 seconds if you get in a bunch of this Marine Corps stuff. And I know there's gonna be this weird tension between you and Mahal because of what he does or did for 20 some years in the Navy. It's like he's like your guys' savior in the Marine Corps.
Dude, he starts every meeting this way. If I'm on this meeting, he starts it every time. It's the same way. Semper Fi, hoorah, and all that good stuff. Yep, there you go for that. Zach Johnson, United States Marine Corps, combat wounded vet, Iraq, Afghan. I work for the Minnesota Assistance Council for Veterans. I'm an employment specialist with them. And yeah, I guess we'll get more into that part later.
Cool. It's Pete.
Pete Laval, your old pal here, resume writer to the stars and all vets and anybody else willing to,
Mr. Mahal. We're doing gender inequity tonight, by the way. So we're not doing ladies first. Well, actually, we did go ladies first, but right Scott.
Scott Mahal, worked for the federal government, retired Navy chief, 24 years active duty with the Navy as a corpsman. My time was with the Marine Infantry.
FMF fella, right? Sue? Unmute.
Hey, it's Sue here. Everybody has seen my mug more than once. I am a 26-year Army Reserve veteran, and I am a business operations analyst for Accenture.
And last but not least, Sarah.
Hey, it's Sarah again. 11 years Army, 4 of them active duty, 1 tour through Iraq, and then finished off 7 years in the reserves. And I am currently an operations manager for an electronics company in South Dakota.
So a little Battle Buddies housekeeping. I got a notification from the government today that we're officially recognized as a 501c3. I don't know what it's called, 509A1 or whatever 2 is. Or that too. And I thought I would be like, hey, I'm going to go on and promote Amazon Smile. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's like 0.05% is donated to whatever nonprofit. So now that we're formally recognized as a 501c3, you can go in that, it's supposed to be easy, hit the easy button, right? Click, boom, bam, Battle Buddies up and running live, ready to take your 11 cents per transaction or whatever Amazon donates, right? But for whatever reason, I called Peggy today and she said, I'm not loaded in the database yet for the 501c3. So the corporate people that I contacted today will probably be like, hey, fella, you're lying. You're not in GuideStar or listed on the IRS, but we are. So just gonna call tomorrow and hopefully we'll get uploaded in the database whenever they run that next. So
yeah, let me send you $1. Be the first symbolic donation.
Yeah, right. And so this has taken since July 27th to finally get approved. Only was audited twice. That's it for paperwork. Not bad for a vet organization, I guess. Right. Yeah. So the goal here, guys, is going to be when we start taking in some income is we're going to have some professional services available to you that'll be funded by big corporations. So pay attention, more to come there. We'll let you know what that looks like when the time comes. Hopefully we have such big corporate donations that we can take care of all 50,000 of you guys at once. And you won't have to do anything except for show up to work and start collecting a paycheck. We could hopefully make it that easy for you. Other housekeeping. If you haven't invited 5 people today to Battle Buddies, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. So tonight's discussion, what we're going to talk about is this seems to have been a pretty good topic here lately, is we're going to discuss some of those challenges that aren't necessarily spoken about during TAP, or they probably are presenting them to you, but you're kind of glossed over because all you're fixated on is the road back home. So we have a special guest here tonight, Scott. He's been with us since the beginning of Battle Buddies. You're one of the OGs. I mean, probably one of the first few hundred people to join the page, I'm guessing, right? And then when I
Yeah.
found out you were a corpsman, I hooked you in real quick to be an admin and didn't let you off the hook. Remember that conversation?
No,
I was like,
don't
I know
believe
your
that-
background. You need this.
There wasn't a conversation.
Exactly. Voluntold, right?
Exactly
So
it.
Scott's, we've gone out and exercised our Second Amendment rights and stuff a couple times together. I had some beer drinking time together and all that. But he's going to talk about some of the transition, the stuff TAP doesn't tell you about that. I think will be helpful for a lot of you guys that, maybe you're in transition right now, but I don't think that we ever really fully transition. I saw a comment probably a good year ago. It was, we don't transition, we PCS to our next duty station, which is the civilian world. So I thought that was a really great way to view that. So Scott, amaze us all with your story, if you don't mind.
Well, no, it really, I feel like so I retired after 24 years in 2017. And, but in 2015, I recognized, no, I'm having some PTSD, some stress issues. And then of course the workload and where I was, my duty station at that time really didn't, that didn't work together. So I felt like I was just barely holding everything together until I retired. I went to TAPS, and felt very overwhelmed. What I felt was I don't know. I guess it was frustrating for me because for one, I couldn't talk the civilian language. I wasn't able to put my strengths, my weaknesses, or just what did you do? And as a Navy chief, well, we do it all. I mean, there's nothing we can't do. We manage personnel in any kind of environment, but I wasn't able to really speak that language. And I felt like it was literally a different language. And it took a long time to really, I don't know if I'm even still good at it, but being able to comfortably have a short conversation with what did you do without using acronyms, without using military language, that was extremely difficult for me. Especially during the time where my mental health wasn't on point. I greatly feared going to the VA for getting treatment. I'm really glad I did, because that I know eats up a lot of other issues and concerns and questions of, but is that going to be held against me? Well, I work for the federal government. I've never been asked. It's never been an issue. I go to all of my appointments. They're more than accommodating, for giving me the time to get care. So that's never been an issue for me. So I really don't know what I was scared about. The other issue was so senior enlisted, you're told for such a long time, oh, well, you could just exit the military and just get that, that really nice GS job. Well, of course you could just walk into a GS-12 or a GS-11 and well, it wasn't until I got out and actually started applying that I read these requirements and thought, well, what were they what this isn't, holy smokes, this is really not how it is. It's like they're just blowing, I don't want to say they're blowing smoke up, because there's so many jobs and trades and in all services that really you can transition into a very nice, well-paying job. And there's no reason you can't. But for me as a corpsman, that transition wasn't that easy, so I had to take a huge humility, check and just get it. I struggled. I applied about 60 applications just to get in, to be able to schedule appointments at the VA. And then of course, once you're in, quickly you rise. But
Hey,
yeah,
Scott.
it was, yeah.
So I have a feeling that there's a lot of people that probably don't know the aura of the FMF fella like yourself. Can you kind of, well, hold on. We're going to let Zach describe how the Marines feel about the corpsman, because this inner like branch thing, I think this is where the one special relationship truly is genuine, right? So Zach.
Chuck, you're gonna like this. So it's like playing hockey, and the corpsman is your goalie. Don't touch my goalie. Don't talk to my goalie. Don't do anything to my goalie, because if you do any of those kind of things, it's not going to be fun for you.
I
That's
think
really what it is. Like we like, that's like the crazy, brother, whatever. And like, you got to have him no matter what. And if you mess with him, if you pick on him, whatever, you're going to have a whole company that's going to come down and rain the fear of God on you.
Yeah, and I think that you guys would probably pick your corpsman over your spouse. I mean, it's especially in your situation
100%.
and mine, right? So, okay. So Scott, resume. I just wanted to baseline that for the non-vets that we've got that watch this, so they can understand that when it comes to enlisted service in the Navy and the Marine Corps, the corpsman is kind of that oracle fella, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, as a good corpsman, you won't be able to recognize the corpsman within the group. If you had all the Marines walk into a room, you shouldn't be able to recognize the corpsman by how they act, or if you watched them, assault a hill or something. They may be carrying an extra rock or something, but you shouldn't. The goal for me, at least, was to never be able to be identified. You certainly didn't want to be the weak link. You had to learn. I had to learn everything there was, in any kind of Marine element that I was working with, whether it was, and it's really anything that floats, flies, drives, dirt bikes, plane craft, boats. There's always a corpsman there. So you just had to get good wherever you were. And so you really adapted quickly. You looked at the surroundings. You had to learn how to mesh well. You had to manage well. We had to think outside the box. It was the corpsman. The Marines get fixated on their fields of fire. Well, the corpsman, their heads on swivel. So we had to be alert and aware of everything around, and to try to match up. Well, that green light is flickering over there, and there's a red light over on the other side. So we had to really. I took on a lot more than probably I needed to, but that was the goal, is just to incorporate yourself as a team player and just really contribute any way possible. So
I want to use that status of aura, and then being told by transition people and others, that's a parallel move, right? Lateral move, versus what was your reality. Now you're a corpsman, right? That's going to be easy. So I think this is a valuable part right here we're about to get into.
Well, this is where the Navy is kind of there. All services are really working at it. I think the Air Force does the absolute best at it, from what I can see, is being qualified once you get out. So here, while my day job was to prescribe medication, to read x-rays, to see them. I mean, we were the sole carers, the father, the doctor, the dentist, the pastor, the priest, the mom, dad, for these Marines, and they were mine. I mean, no one touched them but me. And now I'm transitioning, and I'm told, sure, you just walk in and get everyone's going to want you. Of course they want you. You can manage anybody. But for one, I can't speak the civilian language. So being able to tell anybody what I did was extremely difficult. And my reaction at first was to just, well, let me just show you my monstrosity of a resume, my life history resume that they teach you, in TAPS to set up. And no one wants to read 24 years of how they set it up. No one wants to read that. It's way too much, way too big, and it's not set up for success. So I can't speak the language. I have a monster resume. And I felt like, well, if you only knew what I did, you'd understand. Well, it's too late. And I know, well, it's too late. So you end up depressed and just kind of settling for whatever you can grab at. And that's where I felt like I was at. And
That's
it was
normal. That's so typical. I mean, I remember going to an Al-Anon meeting and finally feeling some normalcy that I wasn't the only person that at the time was married to an addict, right? And it felt good to be amongst my brethren. And I think Battle Buddies kind of fills that for a lot of people, where it's this shared knowledge and, hey, you got a lot of people in here that have been at various stages of this transition, and we're here to help you understand that. And like Scott here, I mean, I'm really grateful tonight, Scott, that you're brave enough to tell your story to 50,000 people that could be watching this tonight. I mean, I think that's absolutely huge. So like, if you were to retransition, was it 3 years now or so you've been out, right?
17 is one. Yeah.
Okay. So if you could kind of roll back the clock a little bit, and if you had a list of things like successes and failures to avoid, you got kind of some tips for these people watching tonight?
Just don't wait for that final year to start. My thing is, it took about 10 months to learn how to speak civilian. And even then I learned, like, I mean, you're told, sure, no, they don't really care what you did when you're active. Well, they do. You just don't. You need to learn how to talk it. You need to learn how to speak civilian. It's a language. And so by watching these videos, by just practice, just actually, no joke, pick out exactly, what you want to share. As a senior enlisted, we're taught, just look, evaluation reports, this is universal, I believe. They just want meat and potatoes. So of your career, what is the meat and potatoes? What is it that you want to share? No one has 30 minutes. So what is it that you want to share of your career? What do you do? What do you want to do? Those were the hardest questions to answer. What do you do? What do you want to do? And say it, answer it in civilian talk.
So Scott, what did you really do? How did you make that transition into the civilian speak? I mean, did you take certain aspects, and I'm just going to pick on something really simple like evaluation reports. We all know that we had to do them. We either wrote them, we received them, whatever the case may be. And obviously that's something that's similar to translate to just annual reviews. But what did you do to help you make that transition? I mean, it's not easy to get acronyms out of your vocabulary when so many companies use them, and they use a lot of the same ones that the military used, and you have to retrain your brain that doesn't mean what it used to mean.
Just go work for a fintech. They like acronyms.
I forced myself. Actually, I joined due to my role. I deployed a lot, and I didn't have a lot of love for certain services, and so I forced myself to be in that environment. I joined a veteran organization, and I choose to speak to those that I had issues with, that I had, so by talking with other services, with other people who don't know what a corpsman is, it forced me to try to streamline my talk. And I know I can be long-winded, so consciously trying to shorten, just being, I guess, just talking with other veterans, but not with my own kind. Just really trying to appreciate and value their experiences, but also it gave me practice of just and speaking what I did, how I did it, and I would play around. I would use that conversation to just shorten things up. Think, well, I still didn't get my point across, but I kind of mentally only gave myself a couple minutes to do it. So I'll do better next time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of really how I did it. Just practice.
So you practiced on people like us who were going to give you shit anyway.
Right. But seriously, I took advantage of every introduction to just try to work on that as being a possible employer. And it was just, hey, how you doing? And it's someone's friend in a party or in a room or whatever. But I just really practiced and I don't think I'm still good at it, but it's getting down to where I know kind of, the cream floats, right? You just kind of, I learn now what is really valued and appreciated. So that's easier too. They don't need all the sea stories. They just need the meat and potatoes.
I gotta like echo what you're saying, because I've been out for 10 years now, and I've for a long time I've spoken acronyms, and like it's what you knew for so long, whether it's 4 years, 8, 12, 10, whatever, however long you did. And then I finally went in the last year and a half of doing this kind of work. I went, nobody understands me, and like, why should they? I don't speak their language. But so now I usually still say the acronym, but then I spell out what it means. And I'm like, I'm trying to break that habit and just like skip the acronym, go straight to what it means. Because unless you're a veteran yourself or a supporter, nobody knows what you're talking about, And it's like,
Hey, Zach, I'm going to give you an example of when you didn't use an acronym and someone that's on my right here didn't know what organization you work for. When you actually said what MACV stands for, Pete was like, what does he work for? And when I said MACV, he's like, oh, MACV, okay. I mean, so, right, it gets so ingrained.
And that's it's terrible. I have got to sit here and go, the Minnesota Assistance Council for Veterans. I have got to sit here. It's not the DAV, it's the Disabled American Veterans. You have to, no matter what organization you're talking about, what it may be, it has to be spelled out in full, because, it's like going to MOS school. My first day as a combat engineer at MOS school, we literally sat there and it was, this is a screwdriver, this is a protractor, this is and like we went through all these tools for 2 hours, because there are young Marines in here who have never seen any of these tools in their life. How should they know? And everybody needs to be on that same page. So, yeah.
So one thing that I think, and we only got a few minutes, we kind of go around, but one of the things that I've seen happen with a lot of transitioning vets, that's a slippery slope, is they isolate. And whether it's like Scott was talking about getting in with the organization, I don't know if it's CVMA he's talking about or whatever.
It is. It's CVMA.
Okay. So, get involved, find a comfort zone that'll help you transition, right? What's that group that does the public speaking, Pete?
Toastmasters.
Right? Go to Toastmasters, get out of your shell. Yeah, go do stuff like that. If you got to join the Boys and Girls Club and be a mentor or something like that. I mean, coaching soccer, just don't make the little girls cry. They don't like that stuff. I've found that out with 10-year-olds the hard way before. Telling them that they're fat, stupid, and slow is not an effective coaching technique. Just kidding. I would never do that.
You're all worthless.
Yeah, exactly. You're like worse than the dandelions in the middle of the field, right? But get involved with something, have a purpose. Don't isolate. Get your ass out of your house. I mean, we've got guys in here that I've talked to before that are like, until I found the Battle Buddies page and started to find some sort of purpose, I would go days without getting out of my bed. So if your goal is to get out of your bed and take a shower today and sit on the couch instead of in your bed, hey, that's a step in the right direction. That doesn't have to be the end goal, but you're on a path now. People were giving me hell yesterday for putting this thing of what's your next goal. You know what? It can be I'm going to drink one less beer. I'm going to get out and walk around the block or go get the mail today. It's those small things, guys, that makes a huge transition difference. It's a step forward.
Set a simple goal and go, what time do you want to wake up tomorrow morning? What time? 8 o'clock? Okay. That's all. That's your only goal for tomorrow. I want to get up at 8 o'clock. That's all it needs to be. It's that simple. That little thing is going to make this drastic change. Literally, I went through a VA psychologist, and that's what they train you is like, get up then. Okay, what do you want to do next? Well, I don't know. I want to start job seeking, doing this. Okay, do you want to eat breakfast? Do you want to work out? Do you want to do anything in between there? Schedule your day out. And it makes a difference because, I mean, for 2 years, I was that. I didn't want to get up. I was very close more than once to being a statistic, and I'm glad I'm not.
That's 2 days of shit that I do. And that's a third of it's written in a book. So some stuff carries over. Write it down. Write it down. If it's literally go up and go to the bathroom, brush your teeth in the morning by 8 o'clock, that's cool. If it's run a marathon, 100-mile marathon, whatever these guys do on these extreme things, knock yourself out. I'll watch you on TV, you know? So let's kind of go around here. Zach, you and I already went. So Pete, advice for these people transitioning, you deal with them all the time. Kind of, what do you think? Great books.
Just let it feel, you know, that it's a huge culture shock to leave everybody that you've known in a way of life that you've known, whether it was just for your first 4 years of your adult life or your entire career, like Scott. But it's all right. I mean, you should expect that shock. It's normal. It doesn't feel good, but sometimes things that don't feel right and good still are normal. And let yourself get through that and get connected. I can't emphasize that enough. I know we've said it here a couple of times already tonight, but Deli, just get connected. Don't be alone. I did that. I was just alone. I mean, I didn't spiral out of control or anything, but man, it was very lonely. And I didn't like it.
Susan, we're going to go straight to you. And we're saving Sarah for last because you're always the attention drama person on here, right? The junkie.
She always has some of the best advice.
Always so lippy too when you're on here with us. Sue.
I know.
Yeah.
No, actually, one of the things that Scott said that really struck a chord with me. My last role before I retired, I was an observer coach trainer for a training battalion, and one of the things that we constantly kind of beat into each other's heads was rehearsal, practice. And Scott, you pointing out that it takes practice, whether it's talking to your dog, going out and finding, you know, because I was Army, so no offense, but going out and finding the local jarhead that didn't speak my language and maybe talking to them because they wouldn't know the same acronyms or whatever. But it's that practice, it's that interaction. And also when your only goal is to get out of bed and maybe move, you know, from the bed to the couch, find an organization to get involved with, even if it's us. Get involved with us, become active, and come join our stories on Tuesday nights. We are all, you know, we're all in this together. It doesn't matter what branch. We're all brothers and sisters in arms. Just get involved. Find somebody.
Force. No Space Force people. No Space Force people out here.
No comment.
Pick on the Space Force.
Hey, they're not here to represent and defend. So Sarah, how about yourself?
Yeah, so I want to kind of go back to what Scott said. During his transition, you know, he got kind of really bummed out, discouraged. If you're feeling that, you're totally normal. Every single one of us on this page has gone through that phase where you're just discouraged, disappointed, nothing seems to be going right. You don't want to get out of bed. It's okay. It's normal. Post on the page. Let us have your back. That's what Battle Buddies are for. We got your six. Let us encourage you. Maybe we can help give you a resource if you're in some discouragement with job applications, look at stuff, but it's okay to feel that way. Come onto the page. Let us know how you're feeling. You will don't feel bad about asking for that pat on the back, the support and the encouragement. That is exactly what we are here to do. So it's okay to feel that way.
So that being said about jobs, guys, watch the page. I snagged someone off the page, and let's just say it's a very, very significant six-figure job. Navy guy, believe it or not. He's going to work for this global company that I got a contract with. I need one more salesperson like yesterday in the central part of the U.S. If you don't know what Next.js is, you probably shouldn't bother contacting me. But if you are a nerd that knows what that is, contact me. And then I need another software salesperson. And these jobs, some of them I've got, I'm not going to disclose what this Navy fella made, but it starts with a number bigger than 2. And it's got a bunch of zeros behind it. So I'm not talking about $32,000 a year jobs working at Wendy's. So watch the stuff that I post. If you're an employer, post that stuff up on here, because I tell you what, even if these vets don't have the bingo card completely covered, they're all pretty trainable except for the Marine Corps, and they will impress you every single day. So, and invite them, 5 people at least. Okay. That's all I got tonight. Anybody else got any? Hey, Sue, was there any questions that we missed tonight?
Not so much questions. We had some great comments. One suggestion, do Zoom meetings with friends. Like if you have an interview or something coming up, to do a little bit of rehearsal, just to kind of get you a little bit more comfortable.
Hey, by the way, we've got people in here that will do Zoom. There you go. Zach is a person. I got a Zoom account. Sarah will do Zoom with you. So send us a message. All right, keep going, Sue.
Actually, John posted, Sarah's our closer.
Oh, there you go. Boom. All right.
And actually, I want to say to Sandra, thanks for working at the VA, because we need folks like you both at the VA and on our page. So keep up the good work.
Yeah, Scott's one of our moderators or admins that keeps you guys in check. And if you got VA questions, we got a great resource that we send everybody over to with Eddie. And then if you guys, VA loans is always a big thing on here too. Vetted VA, we send them over to Chris and those guys. So, we'll continue to be a resource for you guys in this transition. So, and the guys over at Vetted VA, they got some partnership with some fintech company where you can get a free credit report. The FinLock, I think is what they call it, FinLocker or something like that. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy. I see guys that you wouldn't think would be able to buy a can of tomato soup, and they're getting financed on $200,000-$300,000 homes after they work with the guys on Vetted VA. So, Chris, you owe me a shout out over here. Battle buddies, do it. Anyways, thanks for watching tonight, everybody. Take care. See ya.